My name is Alysse. Today I stand before you as a businesswoman, a philanthropist, a single mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend, and most importantly, a recovered alcoholic that also has experienced multiple mental illnesses. My sobriety date is May 1st, 2006, and I recently celebrated 10 years. My story isn't that different than a lot of the stories that we see coming through the Recovery Cafe. I'm a Pacific Northwest native. I grew up in the small town of Centralia. I grew up in a loving home, middle class. My parents were Christians, and they just celebrated their 43rd wedding anniversary. Alcoholism and mental illness can and does affect all walks of life. I discovered drugs and alcohol my junior year of high school, and it became that magic combination that made me feel a part of. It filled that dark hole that was in my chest. I know now that I drank alcoholically from day one. My story includes multiple rapes and abusive relationships, blackout drinking. I needed alcohol to numb out everything that had happened to me, and that was all before the age of 20. I dropped out of college and soon after was pregnant with my son. We lived on food stamps and assistance from the state. I was convinced having a baby would help make me a better person, make better choices. It did make me a better person, but it certainly was not a cure for my alcoholism. My disease continued all throughout my 20s as a functioning alcoholic. I was fortunate enough to have a loving family that continued to support me through the ups and downs. And there were a lot of downs. By the age of 30, I decided we needed to get out of that small town. I had burned a lot of bridges due to my alcoholism, and we moved to Seattle. My advertising sales career continued to grow despite the failures I was experiencing in my personal life. I was convinced this move would fix everything, but my drinking took a very dark turn very quickly in that first year living in Seattle. Ironically, I started carpooling for work to get a free parking spot downtown with a woman who was a recovered alcoholic. I also did not like her very much. But free parking is free parking, people. Slowly, over time, sitting on I-5 for long periods of time, I started to open up about my issues that I was facing. She encouraged me to get medical attention, treatment, or to go to meetings. When I would say things that I thought were outlandish and terrible, she said, "Yes, I know that. That happened to me too." Going to meetings, going to treatment, getting medical attention, my answer was no, no, and no. I was not interested. I was so resistant. But I could also see that my life was slipping out of control. It was only a matter of time before I'd get a DUI, have my son removed from my home, lose my job, or worse. Suicidal thoughts were at the forefront of my mind. I went to 3 different treatment centers hoping that one of them would teach me how to drink normally. That doesn't happen, by the way. Each one told me that I needed serious treatment. I kept asking myself, is it really that bad? But then my inside voice, you know that quiet one that you don't want to listen to? It said, you know it's bad. You know you don't want it to get any worse than it already is. You see, I was dying on the inside. So on a Tuesday night, on the 1st of May in the year of 2006, I drove myself to a treatment center to attend a women's only group meeting. That night, each woman that spoke pierced through my heart. They had my story after story after story. I was overwhelmed. I realized I wasn't alone, and I also truly knew in that moment that I was an alcoholic. Naturally, I couldn't get out of there fast enough. I ran to my car, and I was driving back home, shaking my fist, yelling at God, "Why are you taking my vodka away? It's all I have left. If you really, really want me to give this up, just give me one more sign." Ding. A ding went off in my car, and I looked down in the dash, and it said 2 words, "Perform service." So I immediately pulled over to the side of the road, and I was laughing and crying. My God has an amazing sense of humor and timing. And in that moment, I truly surrendered to the fact that I simply cannot have another drink. When I looked back down into my dash, obviously to see if God was still there, perform service had gone away, and yes, I did get the oil change, don't worry. And what came up was it showed how much gas I had left in my tank, and I had a little less than a quarter of a tank. And what I heard in that quiet moment was that I had the opportunity to do this now, because the next time I would be on empty, and I didn't want to know what that looked like. So I haven't had a drink since that night. And it's certainly not because I haven't wanted to, believe me. It's not because all of a sudden I developed willpower. You should see me in the shoe section at Nordstrom. I have no willpower. I haven't had a drink because I surrounded myself with people that supported me in my decision. It takes a village. Seriously, it takes a huge village to maintain the sobriety I have today that I do not take for granted. The Recovery Cafe is near and dear to my heart because it is made up of a team of people that support women and men who have been traumatized by homelessness, addiction, and other mental illnesses. The Recovery Cafe team is on the front line of this battle. The Recovery Cafe is a village to so many. On behalf of everyone at the cafe community, I want to sincerely thank you for the gift that you have already given us, the gift of your time. We know how precious that gift is, and we appreciate the opportunity to share our stories with you. And now I will turn the program back over to David.